Welcome to the home of the Greenville Triumph Paladin Stadium for this USL League One matchup presented by Spinks. The Triumph playing host to one Knoxville SC for the first time in each club's respective history. Of course, Mark Schoenster alongside me, Ross Davenport here on ESPN Plus for this Battle of the Vills. Ross, let's take a look at the standings brought to you Hopkins Eye Center. These two teams, direct neighbors.
Yeah, and a win tonight could move up either of these teams up into second place, but obviously very early in the proceedings.
As you see, both sitting over that playoff line as it stands. As we take a look at Brandon Fricke. Got back in the starting lineup last week and got himself a goal.
He did. Missed the first 5 games of the season after off-season hip and knee surgery. Fricke now only 1 goal behind Damir Viade for the highest scoring defender in League One history. Mark McKee was raving about his influence in this Greenville side coming into this game. They will be without his usual centre-back partner tonight from the start, Evan Lee on the bench. He'll be replaced by Daniel Wu, someone who Fricke has yet to play with.
On the other side, they'll be guarding a familiar face, Jake Keegan, former Greenville player. It's not the first time he's played against the Greenville Triumph as a former Greenville Triumph player, given he had 2 separate stints with John Harkes' side, but he's off to a good start this season. Yeah,
again, last season was the first time he hadn't got off to a hot goal-scoring start. 6 goals in his first 10 games in 21 and 3 in his first 2 starts in 2020. Off to a hot start again this year, 4 goals already. 2 penalties, though, and that last one may not have deserved to go in, but he has a knack to find himself in the right place at the right time in the box.
Well, is the 8-6-4 hosting the 8-6-5 here on ESPN Plus. We've got lineups and kickoff coming up your way next on ESPN Plus. You're not going to want to miss this one. We'll see you on the other side.
It's not about building a home in just 30 hours for a deserving family with Habitat for Humanity, or about building homes for a national television competition. It's about building memorable experiences with our community, team members, and trade partners that will last for a lifetime. Hunter Quinn Homes, building the difference.
We offer a full array of dental treatment, and what that provides you as a patient is you're able to come to one place and get comprehensive care under one roof.
I've always been greeted with a smile. They know me when I call. I trust them.
We'd love to see you at Wood Creek Dental. Visit us at woodcreekdental.com.
At Piedmont Natural Gas, being a part of the communities we serve is important to us, because to us, community begins with you. We strive to address the needs of our communities by investing time and resources to help improve the quality of life for our customers. For over 60 years, we have funded programs that support education, the environment, and community impact. Our Energy Assistance Program, Share the Warmth, helps customers pay their energy bills. We're committed to helping our neighbors by powering the vitality of our communities.
Today's USL League One broadcast is presented by Spinks, proud sponsor of the Greenville Triumph. As opening procession, is underway, it's the Triumph and one Knoxville here on ESPN Plus. Mark Schoenster alongside me, Ross Davenport, as always for these home matches for the Greenville Triumph. Let's take a look at our Spartanburg Regional Healthcare System starting lineups. First off, the home side, the Greenville Triumph.
Couple of changes for John Harkes, Liam McKinnon, and Evan Lee out. In come Labovitz, as well as Daniel Wu. Castro and Labovitz playing together for the first time since that 4-1 loss at Madison in mid-April. Still no Aaron Walker and no Noah Frankie.
Lucas Coutinho off to a good start this season, 4 goals, which plants him at 3rd place in the Golden Boot race, 2 behind Rafa Menzigen. who leads the pack in that regard. Meanwhile, on the one Knoxville side, going to be going with a 4-4-1-1 here. And a first-time League One start all the way up top.
Yeah, we'll see if Mark McKeever's trying to trick us a little bit. He's been going mostly 3 at the back with the wing-back system. We'll see, yeah, Sebastian Andreasen getting his first League One start. Just ahead of Jake Keegan, perhaps maybe more of a 3-4-3. Missing James Thomas, now he broke his wrist midweek, as well as Danny Fernandez, who sustained a hamstring injury as well on that game on Tuesday.
Derek Waldeck, another former Greenville Triumph, got picked up last season in the middle of the year and did really well for John Harkes' side, and he's picked up where he left off this season for Mark McKeever. Once again, these starting lineups brought to you by Spartanburg Regional Healthcare System.
Both of these teams with slightly confusing lineups tonight. You and I, Mark, were trying to figure out who was playing where in this one, because Greenville just the one winger on this team. Devin Boyce isn't really even a true winger. He does play out there, but he can be just as effective on the inside. We'll see exactly where they line up as we get going here.
And get going we shall. It's the Greenville Triumph in 1 Knoxville on ESPN+.
You can see already Devin Boyce looks like he'll be sitting in with Tevin Shore, more of a 4-2-3-1 perhaps, Mark.
Daniel Wu and Jake Keegan jostling there. One of the few Greenville players on this team that have not played Jake Keegan before.
Now Devin Boyce coming out today. He's tricking us too.
Well, Devin Boyce is everywhere all the time.
He is. There was a song about it, I think, if I remember correctly.
First time in Omaha.
I can't repeat that song though.
Oh yeah.
Is it one word in there I cannot say on, I won't say TV, but even on streaming, I don't think I can say that word.
There's Gabriel Claudio. Speaking of Omaha, former Omaha man. His first start with 1 Knoxville. He mentioned the absence of James Thomas, so he's perhaps plugging into that spot. We'll see as this game goes on. Stylistically, where he fits into the picture.
So Knoxville pressing early to get off to fast starts, but perhaps a little bit of a tired team tonight, Mark. 3rd game in 8 days. Meanwhile, Greenville had the week off after playing last Saturday, that 2-2 draw with Richmond. John Harkes wasn't too disappointed in that performance, he said. Disappointed in perhaps some individual mistakes, especially on the first goal. Second goal, he thought was a little lucky, got a couple of bounces, or deflections off players before finding the back of the net.
Deflections off players and posts, as Sean Lewis grabs that one. And a big point he wanted to emphasize was that if it was flipped, they'd be celebrating the result if they were down 2-0 and came back to make it 2-2 in the second half. He said it's just interesting to think about from a psychology perspective. He said Darren Sawatsky always has his teams fighting. And after watching the film, he felt they could have put the game away though and had a 3rd or 4th goal, and they could be thinking about 3 points last week. But the fact of the matter is that it ended up being that 2-2 draw here at Paladin Stadium.
And then of course Richmond found themselves on the other end of a comeback. Got no points.
Yeah.
In that game midweek against North Carolina FC. Back from a 2-0 deficit to win that one 3-2. So Richmond, they've had quite a week so far.
And if you didn't see the highlights from that game, we'll touch base on them at halftime. Of course, still got a whole 40-plus minutes to go here before we get to that point, but worth noting. Claudio and Angelo Kelly matching bright heads of hair on that right-hand side.
They're very similar heights too, wearing the same color boots. Good luck with that one tonight, Mark. Who's the team? There was a team, was it Chattanooga a couple of years ago that had a bunch of guys with blonde hair?
Yeah.
I think it was Chattanooga.
I remember. I believe Rafa Mensingen was on that team, and at that time he was rocking blonde hair. Boyce trying to leave it, but Waldeck was able to step to. Run back by the Triumph in the middle of the pitch. Coutinho plays it out to Schultz. Now Castro rolls it inside, And that one will be knocked out of danger.
The second straight game for Greenville without the influential Aaron Walker. Didn't seem to miss him too much last weekend, perhaps a little bit in the final third, as he had that great goal in the previous game when he hurt his hamstring. Tevin Shaw obviously very capable defensively as a replacement for Walker, but not the same player going forward. More pressure on Coutinho and Collado to fill that side of the role.
I'm talking about coaches heaping praise on players. Darren Sawatsky had a lot of nice things to say about Aaron Walker last week. They didn't have to worry about him.
Not sure about these Knoxville jerseys, Mark. It's going to take me a little while. It's not easy on the eye. Dude, I love the home jerseys.
I'm a fan of these. I think also just with, it might be the green of the pitch that's making it a bit tough in this case. I remember seeing them in Chattanooga, and I thought they looked pretty sharp.
So when you get a closer look at them, they're almost three-toned, right? They look
Yeah.
a little two-toned when they're zoomed out. I like the champagne color. Hummel does a great job with the jerseys. That's Greenville with Hummel as well.
Service comes in and headed out. Callum Johnson on the service. I mentioned Chattanooga, and that was actually the last team Knoxville played, but in a case it was a home game. I asked Mark McKeever if it felt like it was sort of righting a wrong after the loss they took in Chattanooga, and I don't think he was quite on board with that. He felt they played all right the first game they played Chattanooga. And they said, and then this one we got the goal early. And now they're maybe pushing for one here. This one floats in the middle. It's popped upward, and Mazzola will come down with it.
Looking for that big body of Andreasen. He's a tall figure out there. We've seen the odd tall strikers in League One. Mark, we've seen a whole ton of them. Marius Lomas was reasonably tall.
I was about to say Lomas was the first name that popped into my head.
There's been a couple elsewhere in the early days. Castro complaining about a jersey. Paul Castro floating out to this right-hand side a little bit.
It was an early goal in that game against Chattanooga, which is something that this Knoxville team tries to push for. They look to put their foot on the gas early in matches. Mark McKeever told us that when you get that early lead, it really helps reinforce what we're doing. Sometimes it makes that second one a lot easier. Of course, the second one came via penalty kick. They all count the same, though. Select the official match ball supplier of the USL League One and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit www.us.select-sport.com for the latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice. Villalobos, Devin Boyce going at it there. Andreasen plays it for Angelo Kelly. Now Claudio running out wide.
Kelly with a bunch of yellow cards this season. Knoxville initially thought he would be suspended for this match. He's now just one yellow card already away from suspension, which is very early in the season. Devin Boyce has the most for Greenville with 5. He's still 3 away from that first mark of suspension, which is 8. Kelly's got to be careful tonight, as he will miss the next contest. It's a turnover.
Castro plays into the middle for Coutinho. Castro gets it back, and Castro scores. The Greenville Triumph take an early advantage. And it's Leo Castro with his second goal on the season. That goal presented by YMCA Greenville. And the Triumph, for the second week in a row, take an early lead at home.
Another great start for the home team. It looked initially like that goal was just going to get away from them. Turnover here. The press coming on. 3 getting forward. Looks like there with Castro with the loose ball. Coutinho with the initial chance. It was a good tackle by Waldeck to snuff out their first opportunity, and Castro just hammers it home.
An opportunity that started with Castro, and it ends with Castro. The Colombian striker brought in right before the season started. I remember John Harks telling us he's the kind of guy that'll just put them into the back of the net. He felt like that's been something missing from this Greenville team for a while. But starting this season, he's been tallying up the assists as opposed to the goals.
He certainly lived up to expectations. Solid resume coming into USL League One. Certainly not the youngest player out there, but he runs around like a youngster at times. Got the press on there and turning himself into a goal.
We'll see how this Knoxville team responds to conceding early in a match. There's Andreasen, talked about earlier, 6'5".
I know another tall Norwegian striker. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think you want to set that bar.
Of course not. But
congrats to him, of course, today winning the Premier League.
that's right. Going for the treble now. Speaking of World Cup stuff, John Harks was in New York
Yeah.
this week promoting the US World Cup 2026 in his home state of New Jersey, but obviously New York as well. It's a crunching tackle on Boyce. It's going to be a handball.
And he was emphasizing to us just how important it is that the host committee do the World Cup right. He says you have to give it proper respect. Met up with members of the U.S. Soccer Federation, FIFA, the Premier League, are all there for it. Of course, New York City, one of the host locations for the World Cup in 2026.
It seems so far away, but it's going to creep up, isn't it, Mark? And you've got
Oh,
to
man.
keep it in people's minds. Hey, we're going to be hosting here, and we want you to get excited about it. I don't think they'll have any problem selling tickets, though.
Oh, certainly not.
Harks was with his old buddy Kobe Jones up in New York there. Talking about Coventry, his old team, Coventry City. We're talking about to John about Sheffield Wednesday,
Yeah.
with a chance of getting promotion via the playoffs. Coventry also the same. They could be in the Premier League next year, Coventry City. They were a fixture in the top league for a long time before the Premier League days. And a chance to get back there with them versus Luton.
Of course, those unfamiliar, John Harks, former U.S. men's national team player. Greenville on the pry once again. Coutinho shoots and bounces wide.
Sheffield Wednesday was John Harks' first team when he moved to England. If you haven't ever seen it, you should go and Google his goal against Derby back in the day. Another team that he would play for later on in his career, but one of the best goals you'll ever see, John Harks, for Sheffield Wednesday against Derby. From distance, and one of those goals, you're not sure how he managed to kick it as hard as he did. Knoxville, sixes and sevens here early. A little bit shaken after that goal. Mark McKeever was saying his system is one that's designed for them to score early. Push those bodies forward. He likes that 5 in the midfield to try and confuse things. We see they do spend most of the time with 3 at the back. Waldeck will push forward into more of a wing-back spot. Normally Thomas on the other side. He's out tonight. See if Kelly slots it more into that role or more of a central spot in this game. 3-5-2 normally. More of a 3-4-3 tonight probably. You see there with the 3 of them quite pressing here.
As you mentioned earlier, they've had a bit of a busy week, Knoxville. They've been manipulating the training sessions in order to only do what the players can handle. That was what Mark McKeever was telling us. Mentioned they were divvying up practice for those who could train and those who needed some more recovery time and could focus on more mental things in that space. Coutinho pulls it in the middle. Lotto will switch it over to Boyce. Still looking for that first goal contribution, Devin Boyce. You know how involved he gets game in and game out.
Yeah, we talked to John Harks about Devin Boyce last week. He's taken, he's impressed. He hasn't got on the board yet, but he's been just fine on that right wing. As you mentioned, he gets everywhere, Mark, and there's guys that you hate to play against but love to have on your team.
Speaking about guys who you love to have on your team, Brandon Fricke, 6'1", second start I think it's only fair that he has to start some games without his center back pairing, Evan Lee, given that Evan Lee had to do the same thing, I suppose.
Yeah, Evan Lee hadn't missed a minute till tonight. 90 minutes in every game. Not listed on the injury report. So, the rotation thing is Knoxville again, just giving it away in their own third.
Sean Lewis feeling some pressure there. Hurried distribution on his part. So now throw-in specialist Jacob Labovitz will loft this in. A skill, a talent that was brought up to the world about halfway through last season. And it goes.
It's almost like a corner mark. It gets into the danger area. I seem to remember asking Harks about it last year because it's obviously Labovitz as a natural goal scorer. You want him in the box perhaps as well, but you can't have him in both positions. But he said his throw-in is so effective.
I mean, that's a set piece right there.
It is basically, yeah. Just get it into the mixer and see what happens.
John Hart said, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say we'll keep everybody abreast of the other games tonight in USL League One.
Absolutely. 4 games today. As I was going to say, John Harks was talking to us about this Knoxville side. Mentioned that they play hard and have a lot of resilience. Dubbed them a high-energy side, which I think is a pretty accurate combination of words to describe this one Knoxville team. And he mentioned they want to stamp their claim early in the game, and he said, much like the Lexington game, as Claudio goes down, hopefully he's doing all right. Our head official for today, Fevzi Demeron. Talking to Tyler Polak, who's wearing the captain's armband.
We're talking to Mark McKeever. I think this team kind of turned themselves into Mark McKeever, right? They're very blue collar from Scotland, very blue collar area in Knoxville. They work hard. Have any real super game breakers. And they're going to press you and push those midfielders forward and force you into mistakes. Yeah, you're playing that super 3 up top tonight, super attacking lineup. Just the 2 up top, but McKeever wants to try and get something out of this game.
Here's Johnson. It's a nifty ball into the middle. Loss of balance from Andreasen means that won't come to anything. So John Hark said, we're familiar with many of the guys. Of course, Jake and Derek. He expects them to up their game a little more, much like Nico Brown and Don Smart were going to do when they played Lexington. I mean, it's kind of just a natural thing that's going to take place.
Knoxville will take on Lexington next weekend.
Be their second fixture of that rivalry. And Schultz pings that one off of Jalen Crisler.
Greenville with 3 goals in the first 15 minutes of games this season, more than any other team.
The other one was against Central Valley, correct? I believe that was the other early goal they scored. Because it was last week with the Coutinho free kick. Of course, the game today. I believe the goal against Central Valley Fuego was pretty early on. So we get this PNC corner for kids.
I think you mentioned last week, the last time they lost when they scored their first goal was back in July 21. That 3-2 loss to Tormenta, 27 matches. Obviously didn't get the win last week against Richmond, and also didn't lose. 3-1-0 when scoring the opening goal this season.
Polak lobs this one in. You know, you would think it's a bit odd to see Tyler Polak delivering these corner kicks, but they scored off of one of his last week, so.
They did. Well, Alan Gavilanes, normally the corner taker from that side, especially with his left foot, but on the bench tonight. No real natural left winger out there for Greenville this evening. So Pallado kind of drifting out that way at the moment. Certainly not somewhere he's used to being playing. In the central part of the field.
Andreasen going up to bring that one down. Look out for a Knoxville throw. You mentioned in the open, Mark McKeever mentioned that there is Greenville without Fricky and Greenville with him. He said when he's there, he adds a lot to the team and gives them a lot more freedom. And he made a point to emphasize he doesn't make the team. It's not a make or break situation, but he gives them another dimension when he's out on the pitch. That was the big thing he observed from this Greenville side.
Tevin Shaw making his presence felt. I didn't notice tonight, Mark. The referee shirt is not dissimilar to the top half of the Knoxville colored shirt.
Yeah, you're right.
Affect them in any way. See a guy in the corner, out the corner of your eye with that colored shirt on, you might be looking to pass to him. Hopefully it doesn't happen tonight. Something we normally see at the pro level, that normally the refs have very contrasting colored shirts.
I mean, where's the standard yellow? I mean, that would make sense tonight. Ball floats in, the header's on frame! And it finds the back of the net. One Knoxville equalize. And in his first start of the season, Gabriel Claudio rises up and knocks it through.
This ball came in, didn't look like it was going to be much of a danger, but Claudio, power he got on that header, it was over Brandon Fricky. Mazzola has caught perhaps a little bit. One of those goals as a keeper, though. When you see it looping over you, you try to get there, but you know in the back of your mind that you're not going to. Gabriel Claudio, well done.
That's an excellently headed shot. Mentioned earlier from Union Omaha, the defender from UNLV. Now stationed here over on the east side of the country. Brings this one level once again. Talking about taking advantage of a chance to get into the starting lineup. You know that Mark McKeever is going to take note of that. We're all equal once again here after 20 minutes. Goal from Leo Castro. And a response from Claudio. It's the second assist of the year for Derek Waldeck, by the way. Just something to keep a note on in your stat books. And Andreasen's limbs go flying.
Greenville just being a little clumsy here. Dangerous positions. There's already 7 fouls given away by the home team in these first 22 minutes. This time the free kick from the other side of the pitch, but from even in a more dangerous position than the one that led to the goal.
Well, if you can serve it from one side, why can't you serve it from the other? Eyes will be more prone to check out Gabriel Claudio this go around. Standing at 6'2", he's not that much shorter than Andreasen. Service comes in, and that one too close to Mazzola. He'll roll it out to Schultz, and Greenville will have the ball. Boyce will give chase. And he gets bumped out of play by Chrysler. That'll be a throw for Knoxville. Don't miss a minute of the action in 2023. Whether your club is on the road or at home, catch nearly every second of USL League One action on ESPN+. The home to the USL, La Liga, the Bundesliga, UFC, and more. Sign up today at plus.espn.com. I want to check out the Bundesliga action tomorrow and next week. Might see a new champion for the first time in a decade. I don't know, so if you saw Leipzig beating Bayern earlier today, meaning the ball is in Dortmund's court.
Yeah, a ton of exciting soccer going on right now. Obviously, league titles up for grabs. The U20 World Cup just got started. I'm gonna say with a big late win.
What a strike from Jonathan Gomez.
What a strike that was. Edison, I think it's Edison Acona playing for the former say Fort Lauderdale CF into Miami 2 player. He's
Yeah.
playing for Dominican Republic U20s.
Villalobos looking to do all right here. Let's walk it off. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Jonathan Gomez, Lou City kid. Gotta flaunt that any chance you get. Nate Schultz across the middle, knocked away by Kelly.
It's a lovely first touch. He knocked back inside and then what a finish. World Cup in Argentina.
Win the World Cup, then host the U20 World Cup.
Not too bad, right?
Yeah. Been a good couple of months. So go for a Greenville throw. Harks will take this moment to give Schultz a lot of instruction. I asked John Harks about the balance, given USL's recent announcement about their partnership for mental health of players, the Need Support campaign. And so I asked John Harks, how does he balance the having to be a demanding coach versus making sure everyone's staying mentally well? And he mentioned, first off, he's an optimistic coach, and he's always been whenever you talk to him about his players, about his team's prospects. And they mentioned that you want to have an open and free, trusting environment. Try to stay present, not focus too much on what has happened or what's going to take place in the future.
I think it's very important at the League One level to be a mentor as well as a coach. You've got such a mix of players, young players, old players. But the main thing is guys that aren't making a ton of cash, let's be honest, Mark, to play soccer. And everybody, they're not the millionaires in the Premier League that don't have as many worries off the field. Everybody's got other things going on.
And you don't have the same amount of resources as a club, as bigger clubs do, to just afford all the resources in the world.
Certainly more than just a coach at the League One level. You have all those assistants doing everything for you like they do in the big leagues around the world. You've got to get involved with everything, I think, as a League One manager.
Certainly.
John Harks always been proud to tell us he has the open door policy.
Yep, always open for a meeting.
Talked to Mark McKeever for the first time this week. He seems like the kind of coach that I'd love to play for as well. Real players manager. And obviously the success he's seen at all levels, college, League Two, now League One. Young Harris, I was talking to you earlier, Mark, about the amount of pro talent that program.
Yeah.
Only Division II has produced. The likes of Marco Micheletto, etc. Mikey Rowe, former Tormenta man. Carlos Gomez used to play for Greenville, now playing in the Spanish lower leagues. All played at Young Harris. Obviously the success he had at Des Moines, winning the League Two title there.
Yeah.
Clearly somebody that players want to come play for.
Gomez scored a hat trick, did he not?
I think so. Back in the day.
Yeah.
Now playing in the Spanish lower leagues. Played for Madison as well for a little bit.
Claudio able to get that by a sliding pull-up. That one bounce all the way to the corner. Mazzola will come out to get it. One thing I didn't mention about that victory against Chattanooga on Tuesday is, on top of course, the cramped schedule, you then, of course, get a 2-hour rain delay tacked on top of that. I made sure to tell Mark McKeever, welcome to League One. That's what happens sometimes. And I asked him, though, what is the focus when you go into the locker room, the dressing room, and you know you've got a long delay coming? What's the game plan? And he mentioned that, well, first off, they didn't even know if they were going to play. I mean, that's 2 hours is a pretty long time to sit and wait. At some point in time, you know that this is going to be called. And he mentioned, though, I tell the players to get horizontal, sit down. You have to change gears, and you don't want to overthink the game, and change gears, excuse me. As he mentioned, the game is as mental a challenge as it is physical. You don't want to be sitting there stewing over it the whole time. So they watched some YouTube, played some cards, and then once the game's back on again, you flip the switch and you're in game mode again.
coming from a guy that's been through a few weather delays. You've got to have that putter and a couple of golf balls to knock around. If there's no carpet, we have carpet here that we like to putt around in during the weather delays.
Yep.
A putter and some balls in a cup. It's always a fun pastime.
My go-to is taking a jog around the facility. That's just to keep the blood pumping, especially for some of those late night Tucson debacles.
I can't say that's something I've ever done, Mark. But I haven't taken a nap either.
Pollock's service, pretty dangerous there, knocked away by Chrysler. Two longtime League One players, Tyler Pollock, Jalen Chrysler. Both seen their fair share of League One fun.
Remember I talked to Eamon Zayed actually earlier this year, about getting his team together last year for the first time. And he said he regretted not having as much League One experience as he did. That's one thing Mark McKeever has certainly done. He's brought in guys with that League One experience that know what it takes to win in this league.
I mean, that back line is loaded with it.
He spent some money, certainly on Chrysler and Skelton back there, there's no doubt.
So this will be a goal kick as opposed to a free Sean Lewis with the ball in his hands.
Underway in Chattanooga between the Red Wolves and Union Omaha.
Two new coaches going at it there.
Red Wolves can certainly do with a win. Lost 3 of their last 4. Omaha, meanwhile, just 1 win in the last 3, only 1 loss in the last 5. Usual chaos in League One, Mark. You never know what you're going to get on a game-to-game basis in this league.
I mean, the moment you say a team needs a win, it's very often they get it. I mean, you think about Lexington. I apologize for that one. Lexington last week needed a win, and they get it against Charlotte. I mean,
Yeah, Charlotte now lost 2 in a row. Only 1 win in 5 themselves after getting off to that good start. Things were, I mentioned, I think last week, the week before, things were starting to spread out a little bit, but now they're right back to where we were used to them being.
Castro gets that one, squares it centrally, but getting there first is Claudio.
Castro should perhaps have been a little more selfish there and just taken a crack on goal.
Hey, look at the John Harkes jersey there.
Old school.
I was telling you earlier this week that I got one of those kits from the 90s for the World Cup this past year. One of the jerseys that John Harkes would have worn, it wasn't a Harkes jersey, it didn't have a number on the back, but you'd love to see that.
The USA's had some solid jerseys over the years, maybe not so much lately, but obviously the denim one, probably the most famous one. Have them bring that back for 2020. So
yeah, I think that's
the
one
I
I
see
got.
it happen, but
I love it. Get crazy with it. I am on board 100% with some fun, some creativity. You're not bound by the tradition like Brazil. Brazil, they've got to have their yellow uni, but the United States doesn't have something like that. So go ahead and have some fun incorporating the colors, the flag.
it's not something that's happened though with most national teams, unfortunately. Over the last decade or so, being an England fan as well, we haven't had the best of choices.
That's true.
Lara's going to be careful here, kick that one away. Castro, certainly a foul.
Let's look at it again. Yep.
May have got his toe on the ball, went through Chrysler to get there. No goals between Richmond and Lexington. 33 minutes in there at City Stadium. I'm sure another healthy crowd once again there. Superb numbers they're getting in Richmond.
USL on ESPN continues as the summer heats up. Memphis 901 FC and Aaron Malloy head to the Valley of the Sun to face Manuel Arteaga and Phoenix Rising FC. It's Phoenix Rising FC and Memphis 901 FC Saturday, July 1st at 11 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Aaron Malloy scoring earlier this week against FC Tulsa. Any chance you can get to shout out former League One players? You take that opportunity.
So played some League Two back in the day. We're doing one of his games in the US Open Cup. Tyler Pollock. That's going to be a yellow card. Crunching tackle from the veteran. He doesn't even need to look.
Yep, he'll walk. Get his third yellow card of the season.
The referee has issued a caution to Greenville's number 3, Tyler Pollock, in the 35th minute.
Decleats him.
The old hands up. You put your hands up. It's either one of those things. It wasn't me, or yes, it was me, right? It can mean two different things. That one, yeah, there's more of it. Yeah, I'll take that one.
I know. That's the kind of the gesture that was.
Yes.
So Kelly will slowly make his way back up onto his feet. That could be a bit of a shocker, especially because you didn't even see it coming. Suddenly you're off your feet and on your back.
Came into this game leading the team in tackles 1. Kelly. Fourth official having a word at the Knoxville bench. I'm sure a little upset about that tackle. Perhaps asking for a different color card.
Schultz somehow gets that through to Boyce. Boyce couldn't get it by Kelly. Kelly gets the shirt tug.
Come back. That was a great step by Kelly on the tackle. Now another yellow.
Leo Castro, the goal scorer, with his second yellow of the season.
Just frustrated at that tackle from Kelly. He read it beautifully. Take another look at it here. Stood his ground, stepped into it.
The referee has issued a caution to Greenville's number 25,
Just silly from
Leo
Castro.
in the 36th minute.
I think those pullback ones that don't really do anything, right? It's almost a waste of the yellow. Knoxville just give it away again.
Greenville hold the ball here. We'll push it forward. We'll keep it out of the vicinity of their keeper, Jared Mazzola, who now very much has the starting position in lock. Before the season started, it was kind of a toss-up if it would be Mazzola or Ben Hale, but earlier this week, Ben Hale announced that he is retiring from soccer and is picking up a nice job with Lockheed Martin Space. So first off, congratulations to Ben Hale for that. And I know John Harks told us that, first off, Greenville full-heartedly support his decision and thank him for his contributions.
Best of luck to Ben. He's been dealing with some injuries. See, when you get to that point of how much do I want to continue doing this, especially playing hurt. See, as you mentioned, what a great opportunity. So Paul Christensen, another goalkeeper for the Greenville, retire after last season to go into the ministry.
Dallas J also retired.
Dallas J, now assistant coach at the college level. Cole Seiler, back in the day, he retired, took a great job, I remember as well. Sometimes you just gotta you gotta think about your priorities, right? When you get to that certain age, you get an opportunity to make some serious cash and a cool job like that. Sometimes you gotta go.
Especially when you're suffering from injury after injury. I mean, that also falls into sort of the Andrew Luck quandary, which is is it worth playing if I'm just continuing to pick up and suffer these injuries? Like there's a point where maybe it isn't worth that anymore. But of course, the decision's a lot easier when you're able to pick up and get a nice position elsewhere. But yeah, just to reiterate, congratulations to Ben Hale. There's Callum Johnson. Whenever we're on the topic of congratulations, I talked to Mark McKeever about him a little bit, about how enthused he was to score that goal against Chattanooga. I had mentioned that, Johnson had opportunities in previous games to score and he wasn't able to put it away. And Mark McKeever went a second step and said, I mean, he could have had a hat trick against Central Valley Fuego. And he went to continue to say that Jimmy Villalobos could have had a brace against Northern Colorado. So when it came to that goal in 2 minutes time against Chattanooga, it was Jimmy Villalobos connecting to Callum Johnson for a goal. He said it felt like a sigh of relief for the two of them.
Not sure what's going on here. It's like delaying play. Now we'll get going. Just over 5 minutes remaining in this first half. We've only had 3 shots in total, Mark, and 2 of them have gone in. It's been a very midfield-oriented affair. The shot that hasn't gone in was back in the 12th minute from Lucas Coutinho. Hasn't been much action into the final third, especially the last 20, 30 minutes or so. Both teams sort of seem to have found their shape. How much Richmond frustrated Greenville last weekend, actually trying to get through the middle. Zaka Moran really stuffed things up in front of that back four.
Yeah, the propensity to do that.
He does. Doesn't get enough credit, that man.
Absolutely. Always happy to give some love to a good holding midfielder. A shout out to number 6. This segment of the game is brought to you by ScanSource, accelerating growth for partners and calling Greenville home for 30 years.
Certainly been more fouls than shots in this one, Mark.
Yeah.
A foul-filled first half.
It's Greenville, Knoxville in Foulville.
That's the 11th. What did we decide to? Well, I did a poll on Twitter earlier. License to Ville seemed to be the winner. But it wasn't the best of selections I could come up with. There's a few other good ones from the fans.
Pollock either taking a shot or trying to send it to Castro. That one looked like it crossed the byline.
Schultz thinks it's a goal. It will be.
Another PNC's corners for kids.
And the second one of the night. None for Knoxville so far.
PNC corners for kids, taken by
And it'll be
Greenville Triumph.
Tyler Pollock to once again loft in a ball.
As you mentioned, they scored from one last weekend. It was a controversial one because Tevin Shaw certainly had a ton of contact with Akira Fitzgerald.
Little give and go.
Tyler
Sticks
Pollack was
around.
offside.
Yep.
Sloppy there from Greenville. He also had the free kick goal last week. John Harkes had been frustrated earlier in the season with the lack of production from set pieces. 2 last week. Let's look at their scoring summary. Castro and Claudio.
Now, he appreciated the decisiveness of Coutinho's set piece, that goal early in the game, and talked about how fantastic a strike that was. With the great form Coutinho's been in to start this season, I asked John Harkes if he sort of developed as a leader in the group. And he said, well, there's different ways of leading. He leads by his actions, much like Tyler Pollock does. Not the booming voice of Brandon Fricke out there, but you need different types of leadership, as Labovitz couldn't get to it. It'll be Sean Lewis first.
The last shot in this game was a Claudio goal. With the edge in possession, 65.2%. Saw a stat on Twitter this week. I think it was from Brandon Mays that said that no team with an edge in possession has won a game in League One this season. Let's see if I can find that tweet. It's an amazing stat.
Well, I don't know if it. I remember seeing that as well. I'm not gonna go off of my memory. But I think it was an average. I remember there was being talk about average possession of the winning team in League One, and I remember seeing it around 45%, which is very interesting. But I think it's a pattern that continued from last year. So this one threads through, and that's a heavy touch.
I'll say there was only 2 games where the team with the natural possession advantage had won the game, with no red cards involved.
That is a good stipulation to add.
these teams love to play the count. There's teams that don't want the ball, right? Knoxville's one of those teams that does want the ball. They haven't had much of it tonight. I see Greenville's probably another team that does like to have the ball. They're not the greatest counter-attacking team in the world. We obviously saw them with the counter press score tonight already. There's teams that are certainly more effective at it. Possession isn't the greatest stat to judge things on, right? Depends what you do with it when you have that ball.
Certainly.
It's fine if you have the ball and can do things with it. This league is just so tight. As you mentioned, not a ton of guys that can turn games on their head. A lot of times it's capitalizing on mistakes.
Yeah. Well, that's where I was about to go with it, is just it's easier to score on a breakaway in this league than it is in casual build-up, because as you said, you don't have those game breakers that you can just force feed the ball to. You have guys who go into stretches.
You and I talked to a lot of the coaches about the importance of set pieces in this league. We do get a lot of them.
That one going off the hand of Devin Boyce. As we hit stoppage time, brought to you by Engineered Sleep, the best handmade mattresses in town. Visit engineeredsleep.com for better sleep. 2 minutes before we go to the break. I mentioned right at the beginning of the game, we have highlights from the middle of the week for you. So if you missed some of the action in the midweek, had crazy comebacks, some wild moments.
Knoxville with only 66.4 passing accuracy tonight. It's not going to win you many games. So the average is probably in the high, I think it's about 77, 78, right? Rock thereabouts normally.
I was looking at this earlier today.
Greenville with a solid 82.4% so far. Still only the 2 shots on target between the two teams. Both of them found the back of the net. Also no scoring Richmond at the moment still. Kickers nil, Lexington nil.
Yeah, worth noting, these are two teams near the bottom in the league in passing accuracy. One Knox, 78%. Meanwhile, Greenville currently in last place with 75% passing accuracy on the season.
I think if you're in the, certainly if you're in the 80s, that's a solid night. The XG tells the story so far in this one. Knoxville 0.03, Greenville 0.2. It's not been a game for the attacking lovers. There's a chance now, though.
That one nearly slipped through to Labovitz. Now it's Coutinho.
Yeah, Labovitz was offside. I was waiting for the whistle.
Chrysler with a laugh and a pat on the back of Lucas Coutinho. Why not make it 2 for good measure? And there's your whistle for the first half of action. 1-1 your scoreline, an early goal from Leo Castro. And then 12 minutes later, a response from Gabriel Claudio in his first start of the season with One Knoxville. That's how we see ourselves deadlocked after 45 minutes. Like you said, Ross, it's a game with not many offensive windows. Both teams feeling each other out and duking it out in the middle of the pitch. Let's see how the flow of this game continues in the second half, but before that, we've got some halftime content coming your way. We'll step aside for a brief break. When we come back, we've got some highlights from the middle of the week coming for you here on ESPN+.
This is no sleepy-headed, moving in reverse kind of state. We're home to barrier-breaking humans who took $7 billion and invested it in microchips, potato chips, nope, education. This investment, it builds jobs and more jobs where people create things like flying, not that. Who does all this? Forward-thinking pilgrims of change, like you. South Carolina. Now that's smart.
You know, I'm just feeling a lot of pressure. There's big shoes to fill.
It's your time now, Tommy. I know you'll keep it special like your dad did.
If we can keep this business growing, I think that's the best way to honor him.
Well, I was there for him, and I'll be there for you.
About this new location,
He would have loved it, Tommy. Let's find a way.
We offer a full array of dental treatment, and what that provides you as a patient is you're able to come to one place and get comprehensive care under one roof.
I've always been greeted with a smile. They know me when I call. I trust them.
We'd love to see you at Wood Creek Dental. Visit us at woodcreekdental.com.
Welcome back to halftime here at Paladin Stadium. 1-1 locked up between Greenville and Knoxville here on ESPN+. If you missed the action from 3 games in the middle of the week, we got the highlights for you. Let's dive into them. A busy League One week starts on Tuesday for round 2 of the Smoky Mountain Smackdown. Chattanooga was able to pull away with the first affair in Chattanooga. This one at Regal Soccer Stadium. Second minute, Jimmy Villalobos serves up a great ball, and Callum Johnson puts it away. A thunderous start after a 2-hour rain delay. They were itching to get out of that pitch and get things going, 1 Knoxville. And when you get a lead that early, it's so easy to dictate the rest of the game. You get a handball here from Nico Cardona off the shot from Jake Keegan, earning a penalty, which means Jake Keegan will be the one to go to the line. He goes up. Oh no, it's not saved. Not the best PK in the world, but Jake Keegan will take it. It slips through the keeper. 1 Knoxville gets some payback to make it 2-0. Speaking of payback, on Wednesday, the last time these two teams met at Wake Med Soccer Park back in July 27th of 2022, Richmond came back from a 2-1 deficit in added time to win 3-2. And they started off on a good front foot here. Joao Gamiro with an excellent strike outside the 18 made Sports Center that night, and they were not done in the first half. Simon Fitch, great run, gets through Menzigan, and it's Gamiro again. Scored his first and second goal as a kicker in this game. Scores his first and second goal as a kicker in 45 minutes of action. Talk about a great first half for Gamiro, but the second half, things would go wrong. 62nd minute, bad pass, Olex Anderson punishes. Just rips that one in. After this one, takes a couple deflections, falls right to his feet, and he makes the most of it there to make it 2-1. Then just a couple minutes later, 9 minutes to be exact, Louis Perez would get his chance after this shot would bounce off Akira Fitzgerald, and he'd clean up the pieces to make it 2-2 in the span of 9 minutes. The comeback is on for North Carolina FC, and it would only take 3 minutes for it to not only be an equalizer, but for them to have the advantage. Right here, they build up once again. Talk about flipping the script in a short amount of time. Garrett McLaughlin heads it in, gets the job done. 3-2 comeback win for North Carolina FC. The excitement continued on Thursday as Forward Madison, the last undefeated team in USL League One, hosted Northern Colorado Hailstorm. They're at the end of their 6-game road stretch to start the season, and Trevor Ahmed picks the pockets of Timmy Mell, brings it down the pitch, and is able to skip that one between the sticks into the back of the net for an early lead for the visiting Hailstorm. Later in the game, Mell would then commit this foul, a straight red card. Rough night in the office for him. He'll get sent off. Madison will be down a man for the rest of the match, but Bert Shipman would keep it at a 1-goal deficit for now. Great save from him. Already has several penalty saves on the season, and he continues to be a stellar goalkeeper in USL League One in his first year. But Trevor Ahmed would lock up a brace, rifling this one in. Excellent take from him, just ripping that one into the back of the net. We'll step aside. 2-0 victory for Northern Colorado Hailstorm. We'll see you on the other side of this break.
We all have goals. But let's be honest, Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Are you ready? Ready for more of the game you love? Ready for more players and more teams? Ready for more stadiums, for more fans in more cities? This is a different league. The USL Super League. Built for the future of women's soccer. Bridging the journey from youth to pro, connected to the global game, and bringing it all closer to home. Are you ready?
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know,
Welcome back to halftime here on ESPN Plus. I want to emphasize that middle message in news and notes. The USL Super League announcing its initial markets, including a couple of League One markets. Charlotte, Lexington, Spokane is a future League One club. They'll be coming in the fray. And then a couple of subsequent season prospects, Chattanooga, along with Madison. Some big news this week in the USL in that regard.
Listen, it's exciting stuff. The more professional opportunities we can get for the female soccer players out there, the better.
As we look at our team of the week, Amel Knight getting the penalty save in stoppage time to preserve a victory over Charlotte last week. Meanwhile, as far as these two teams are concerned, we've got Coutinho as well as Brandon Fricke making an appearance.
Seems we're having a lot of penalty saves this season, or maybe it's just me.
I don't know, I think you're right. Here's the scoreboard. First off, you got the midweek scores, but then the two games that are also taking place right now, Richmond and Lexington scoreless, despite 3 shots on goal in that game. And Adola Belagol has given Omaha the lead against the Chattanooga Red Wolves early on in that affair. I'll be able to catch the end of that game once this one concludes.
Yep, we got a late one tonight, which we'll get to see here on the schedule in a second.
Yep, upcoming schedule. We'll give you all the details in that regard. Mentioned 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Central Valley Fuego hosting South Georgia Tormenta. And then we get into some action next week. But first, you also, a rare Sunday fixture, 2 o'clock tomorrow. It's another Dogwood Derby Classic with Charlotte and North Carolina FC. The good games coming up ahead. Knoxville will be playing Lexington for the second time next Saturday. Anything stick out to you?
Love that 2 p.m. start for the NC Derby. School night, back to school on Monday for the kids. You know, to stay up late for that one. PGA Championships also Sunday. Get a dual screen action going on for those two.
Certainly. Well, with that in mind, we'll step aside. When we come back, we'll have the highlights and the stats from the first half, and then we'll have the second half between Knoxville and Greenville here on ESPN+.
At Piedmont Natural Gas, being a part of the communities we serve is important to us, because to us, community begins with you. We strive to address the needs of our communities by investing time and resources to help improve the quality of life for our customers. For over 60 years, we have funded programs that support education, the environment, and community impact. Our Energy Assistance Program, Share the Warmth, helps customers pay their energy bills. We're committed to helping our neighbors by powering the vitality of our communities.
It's not about building a home in just 30 hours for a deserving family with Habitat for Humanity, or about building homes for a national television competition. It's about building memorable experiences with our community, team members, and trade partners that will last for a lifetime. Hunter Quinn Homes, building the difference.
This is no sleepy-headed, moving in reverse kind of state. We're home to barrier-breaking humans who took $7 billion and invested it in microchips, potato chips, nope, education. This investment, it builds jobs and more jobs where people create things like flying, not that. Who does all this? Forward-thinking pilgrims of change, like you. South Carolina. Now that's smart.
Fifth Third Bank. Yeah, it's a quirky name. But here's the thing. 5/3 equals 166.7%. So we put 166.7% into everything we do. Like automatically getting you your paycheck up to 2 days early. Giving you well-deserved extra time to avoid overdraft fees. And helping you borrow from your future self. This is banking a Fifth Third better.
Tonight's USL League One broadcast is presented by Spinks, proud sponsor of the Greenville Triumph. Here are our halftime highlights between Greenville and Knoxville, and they start rather early in this one. Leo Castro able to take this one away from Claudio and ends up producing a goal here.
Yeah, ironically, the two players that scored the goals tonight both getting involved there with Claudio with the turnover. Pocket picked by Castro. Running about to Coutinho initially. Fell back to Castro and smashed it home from 10 yards out for Columbia.
Second assist on the season for Lucas Coutinho. Second goal on the year for Castro. Then 12 minutes later, Derek Waldeck with his second assist of the season. Gets it to Claudio, who I guess pays back for his error.
Difficult header.
Look at this. He's able to...
Power on it. The only place it was going to beat Mazzola was to that far post, and that's exactly where he put it.
And he is amped up about it, and rightfully so. Here are our halftime stats brought to you by Warehouse Services, Inc. Here, look at the possession disparity. I think that's the thing that jumps off the page immediately.
It does. Looking on a stat that's not on there. Only 7 total touches in the opponent's box between these two sides, and two of those came on the goals. So we'll see if both teams or either team can get it going in that final third here in the second half. See if anybody makes changes at the break.
Certainly a lack of offensive production for a game that was 1-1 at halftime. We'll see how it transpires here in the second half, how these two teams adjust, having felt each other out. They did the feeling out process after the goals, though, which is a little backwards, but sometimes that's just how it goes in the beautiful game. So we welcome you back here to Paladin Stadium for 45 more minutes of action on ESPN+.
See any immediate changes for Knoxville? Funny, I didn't hear you mention Jimmy Villalobos' name much in that first half.
No.
Neither of the offensive threats in the midfield for either team being able to do a whole lot of anything. Blavovitz was active at times. Had some chances to get on the end of balls. Was offside once or twice.
That pairing will be looking to connect or lace one into the back of the net here in the second half, and that man has similar thoughts on his mind against his former team. As I mentioned prior, this isn't the first time Jay Keegan is up against former team Greenville Triumph. Of course, played with forward Madison for a little while and got the chance to go over to Legacy Early College and also host Greenville and try to put his number on his former team. Now he does it in the Knoxville colors. So the two will switch ends of the pitch and we'll look to get this one going here. Once again, our head official, Fevzi Demeron. We've got 45 more minutes on the docket for you. Daniel Wu once again getting the start at center back, his 4th start of the season. As a center back, it's usually good when your name isn't said a ton. We talked about Jimmy Villalobos. Wu, I barely had to think about his presence on the pitch, and that's typically a good thing.
Yeah, Brandon Fricky had almost twice as many touches as Wu in that first half. He loves to run the show from back there. Oh.
And it came off the knee of Nate Schultz. Andreasen plays it out wide. Claudio along with Kelly. Gonna play it back to Kelly. Been worked by Polak. Shaw will clear it out, but not very far, and Mark McKeever will chuck it into his player's hands real quickly there.
Ouch. There's some contact there between Wu and Keegan.
Daniel Wu, the young defender from Cary, North Carolina, that is.
He finds himself on the score sheet this season. Only 5 behind Brandon Fricky for his career.
Yeah.
But certainly a good start for the rookie.
Lobos will tap it over to Waldeck. Claudio getting ushered out of play there by Pilato. I'm going to say it's a Knoxville throw. Claudio in front of his head honcho, Mark McKeever.
If you're interested, Mark McKeever does a weekly radio piece, the UT radio athletics crew there. It's a fun listen every week. Not something many coaches do in USL League One. John Harkes does pop up on local radio in Greenville now and again, but certainly not on a weekly basis. He is. A man from Scotland.
An excellent chat.
He's a good talk. You can just feel the energy coming through the phone with Mark McKeever. He loves what he does.
I remember asking him a couple weeks ago if he has an NFL team because it was around draft season, and he said, I only really think about soccer, and I don't mean just talking about sports. Like, this man eats, sleeps, drinks soccer or football.
Yeah, he does.
This one bouncing in play. Keegan gets a touch on it. He waves his hand up as if it glanced off of Wu. And that looks like that's what the refs are thinking as well.
First corner of the night for the visitors.
Callum Johnson will make his way over to the left flag.
And a great run for his goal. Midweek, Callum Johnson from deep.
Scored 1 goal off a set piece today. Johnson's delivery dips down, bobbles around. Oh my goodness, it's a fantastic finish. The back heel from Andreasen. Inventive work from the tall standing striker.
It's one of those ones that you sort of try on the training ground perhaps, and comes off maybe 1 out of 10 times. And it's a lovely delivered free kick to the far post. And Claudia perhaps with the assist, and almost the scorpion type finish from Andreasen. It might have been Chrysler actually who got the touch back across. Greenville beaten on the set piece once again.
That is Andreasen's first professional goal, and he was certainly emotional after it. Scored 9 goals last year for One Knoxville. Became a fan favorite pretty quickly. Affectionately known as Seba. And One Knoxville with the early lead to start here in the second half. 2 goals off of set pieces. And what a fantastic one that is.
3 in the last 4 goals now given up by Greenville. Coming from set pieces. Had the one last week against Richmond.
I'm sure that was a goal that got the fans at the Barrel House by Gypsy Circus going crazy. Shout out to the watch party there for the Scruffs.
The Scruffs, what a great name. getting actually, it was Greenville that scored the goal on the free kick last week, excuse me, on the corner kick.
Yes.
Not Richmond. Yeah, frustrating. Those back post corners are sort of ones that Greenville are quite adept at. Looking for the header back across. They're always so dangerous. You get the goalkeeper going one way, and the defenders all going to that back post, and it gets nodded back across against the flow. Can be very hard to defend. Greenville with now some work to do. This will be their first loss after taking a lead since 2021.
See what kind of resilience this team has up their sleeve. Had to do a lot of fighting already this season. Both, of course, on the pitch, but also in the health category. Just having to claw their way through some matches. Shorthanded. Service comes in over the head of Labovitz. Pilato now. Top to Coutinho. Pilato sends it in. Labovitz heads it straight upwards. Labovitz again with the header. And it's cleared out by Kelly. Coutinho now. Promise here for Greenville. Coutinho still with it. Trying to slip by several players.
Oh, it's going to be obstruction. Yeah, I was going to say once you go down.
Lucas Coutinho and Jessen Vanderplum getting in each other's faces.
It was a good no call from the ref initially. There wasn't a whole ton of contact by Coutinho. Vanderplum went down very easily and then obstructed the ball. Have a look at it here. It's a very weak bit of defense. Coutinho had to be careful because
he almost stamped on his head.
Always getting in the way of it. Getting in the middle of it, I should say, where he loves to be. Chance for Greenville here to perhaps tie this one up with a set piece of their own.
Coutinho and Boyce standing by. Coutinho service comes in. Not the best touch. Pollock heads it down. Shaw. Looking maybe for the handball, or at least for the contact. And it'll be a corner kick. PNC's corners for kids.
Much to Tevin Shaw's relief, I was wondering why he was letting that ball go. It's a risky decision. Ended up working out. It's not quite in the corner.
There you go. Boyce drives this low. Still in the 18 as it pops out to Kelly. Boyce trying to get in between there.
Certainly seen a bit more positive action in the final third. Both teams in this second half. We'll see who's first to pull the trigger from the bench.
Can't watch the match? Turn on SiriusXM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access Tuesday nights at 7 Eastern. Plus hear live matches from the USL, MLS, English Premier League, and more. All on SiriusXM FC 157 and the SXM app.
Soon for Greenville, we're likely to see McKinnon and Gavilanes, or Gavilanes at some point here in the second half to provide some width.
If you're John Hark, so you gotta like that little spell moments ago.
Need some balance too. 59.8% of Greenville's attack have come down the right-hand side so far tonight. Only 14.8% down the middle. Need some action on the left. Balance this out a little bit. Without those real natural wingers on the pitch tonight,
I was
it's
about to say,
shown.
Lucas Coutinho is on that left-hand side. Usually plays more centrally, and when we've seen his foot on the ball, it's seemingly more often in the middle than on the outside today. Whereas you've got Schultz and Boyce, who I think are much more comfortable in their spots on the right-hand side.
Derek Waldeck with the throw. See with the assist in that first goal. Akiva said it was the first lads they chased. Got the job as the coach of One Knoxville. His great receiving skills, creativity. He's obviously a lefty, which helps to play on that left-hand side. Great communicator. said the percentages of his quality deliveries are getting better. We saw that on that first goal.
Yeah.
Put it exactly where he wanted to put it.
He leads the league in crosses this season, so he's had the chance to really hone it in.
We talked to John Harkes about him last year. He really is a wingback. He loves to get forward. This formation allows him to do that.
Boyce, service, gets it knocked out. It was a Greenville game last year that really jumped off the page or the screen from Mark McKeever. He said it was against Northern Colorado. He mentioned his communication skills are very good. He also called him someone who is super humble and accepts criticism wholeheartedly. So as he mentioned, he's been taking that cross criticism or tweaking, whichever way you want to call it, to heart, and has done everything he can to figure it out. Knoxville getting the early advantage here in the second half, thanks to a pseudo-scorpion kick from Sebastian Andreasen. Ricky heads that one away. Greenville trying to find a response. Had the lead early in the game, 8 minutes in. This one will come back to Fricky. Asked John Harkes how he's reacclimating to playing, and Harkes gushed about just how much of a pro Brandon Fricky is, and that he didn't really need much time at all to get back into the swing of things. Sure, he'll be a little bit sore, but that's just kind of the deal of coming back from surgeries and getting back into game flow. I mentioned that you can ease someone in training, but there's no easing process for the actual game. And that substitution you've been calling for, Ross, appears to be on the docket for the Triumph. Alan Gavilanes will be coming in. And it'll be Devin Boyce that will make his leave. Well, it looked like they're about to execute the substitution. It won't happen just yet. Have to hold our horses here. But it's coming.
This game needs a bit of Alan Gavilanes, somebody to take players on, beat them to the byline. John Harkes said he's been looking to get his guys getting past that last defender, making those crosses in. Gavilanes is so good at it from either wing. Primarily a left winger, but can play on the right as well.
Labovitz pucks it in. Comes down and over several heads. Polak pops it. Johnson will head that one away.
Obviously mentioned earlier, Knoxville's third game in 8 days. We'll see if tired legs come into play in the final half hour of this contest. He hasn't made a sub yet.
Andreasen back on his feet just in time. Now we're going to get 2 substitutions for Greenville once that next dead ball situation occurs. See them down there. Evan Lee didn't get the start today, but will make an appearance as we cross that 60-minute threshold.
Fricky only the one start under his belt. Not quite ready to go 90 minutes just yet.
You can't ease someone into the gameplay, but you can manage minutes of someone when it comes to gameplay.
Did get 90 minutes last weekend, but back-to-back weekends perhaps a little too much. Hopefully he's not feeling anything. Just a little bit of rotation.
And I think that's a big thing that maybe some people may not have their heads entirely wrapped around. You think about how much you train during the week and how much you're playing the sport during the week. But there is just that clear difference with during the game versus in training. You just have that extra tension that makes everything hurt a little more. You feel a little bit more of it. You're more prone to the physicality. You're not entirely loose when you're in a game as opposed to practice. As we get those substitutions now, Devin Boyce out, Alan Gavilanes in. That substitution brought to you by Spinks.
See, perhaps John Hark's looking ahead to the midweek game, the Big Till at Omaha on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So keeping Brandon Fricky fresh for that game perhaps a little bit.
So Evan Lee will come in instead. First time coming off the bench this season. These substitutions brought to you by Spinks once again. That's the end of the road for the game for Fricky and Boyce. And we'll get this set piece chance for Knoxville. Both their goals coming off of set pieces today. One from a free kick, one from a corner. Waldeck getting the assist on the first of them. He floats it in, and to no one in particular. USL's committed to caring for the mental health of our players, fans, and communities. The Need Support campaign includes a partnership with the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, a free, confidential support line for anyone having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health crisis. Need support? Call or text 988. Mentioned John Hark's thoughts on mental health as a coach earlier. I also got the chance to talk to Mark McKeever about it. In conversations past, it's become very evident to me how much Mark McKeever cares about his players, even just outside of a soccer sense, as we get two subs for Knoxville. So Claudio comes out, O'Hearn comes out, or comes in, excuse me. Meanwhile, Andreasen will come out for Vowinkle. So both goal scorers for Knoxville will make their leave. Sebastian Andreasen and Gabriel Claudio will take to the bench. Meanwhile, Sean O'Hearn and Matthew Vowinkle will come in.
Entering the match, number 40, Sean O'Hearn. Leaving the match, number 55, Gabriel Claudio. Also entering for one Knoxville.
So a great day for Andreasen, getting his first.
Yeah, two straight-up subs from McKeever. Thought O'Hearn would get the start tonight, perhaps, at that right wing-back spot. But obviously, Claudio, the right decision. So O'Hearn gets it. He's appeared at that spot plenty of times this season. With a goal in Richmond, Mark. Carlton Belmar with a 61st minute strike for the home team there.
That's the second of the season. First of which coming here at Paladin Stadium.
That's right. Wayne Gordon with the assist.
Big old Wayne Gordon fan here. Gavilanes, the substitute. Gets that to the 18, and it'll be knocked out for a corner kick by Jordan Skelton. This will be PNC corners for kids.
Greenville, as things stand, down to 8th. The results happening elsewhere along with this deficit to Knoxville. Just how this league goes, find yourself going up or down a number of spots in one weekend.
Header will sail over the crossbar. Out for a goal kick. Kevin Shaw, the one taking it.
Tough games coming up for Knoxville at Lexington next Saturday. I'll bring you that one. And then home against Red Hot North Carolina, and then a trip to Northern Colorado after that. They could obviously get their first home game next weekend. Future Legends Park. It's exciting stuff.
Yeah. Another new League One venue to add to the list.
Shout out to the Scruffs, one of the best SG names in American soccer, Knoxville fans. You and I were looking at their song list earlier. I think they had a song for every single player. Whether they sing them all is another story. So you don't always catch them on the natural sound microphones we hear in our ears.
I've got a whole guidebook. Shout out to them.
That was an early whistle there from the referee, and you can see Palado not happy about it. He's about to go sprinting the other way. No advantage played by referee Demera. There were a few Knoxville fans making the trip. Either through the Smoky Mountains or around to Greenville, whichever way you'd like to go. It's a little longer to go around, but
worth noting, Sean O'Hearn collected a yellow card there during the dead ball.
That was quick.
Yeah, welcome to the game. Certainly was some sort of behavior that was unsavory, according to our head official.
Chattanooga and Omaha at the half. Tennessee, Eastern Tennessee, Southern Tennessee. It's a brave tackle from Tyler Pollock with a yellow card.
Castro sends Schultz running. Schultz with the cross inside, goes off of Castro, and it's booted away by Kelly. Greenville once again with possession, trying to keep the pressure on. Looking to find a leveler.
Just the 3 shots on target, Mark, and they've all gone in. The team's struggling to really unlock anything in the final third and test either of these keepers.
Labovitz sends it in and couldn't connect there in the middle for Castro. Castro still with it. Gavilanes sends in the cross and couldn't get it to bend enough to reach Labovitz or Castro.
Knoxville with only 6 touches in the Greenville box today. That's an astounding stat.
Like you said earlier, 2 of those went to the back of the net.
Listen, they're up 2-1. I don't think Mark McKeever will really care at this point if he can hold on for these final 21-plus minutes.
2 touches that went to the back of the net, and neither of them were on the top of the foot or the toe. Goal off the forehead and a goal off the back heel. Sebastian Andreasen. We were talking earlier about the balance of coaches demanding out of their players and checking for everyone's mental health. As I'll have to put that aside for now, Castro goes down. Mark McKeever told me that you have to create a support system, and we have created several layers of support in Knoxville. We've, of course, got the coaches, we've got the players, the leadership group. You kind of pick whom you're most comfortable to talk to if ever something comes up. I mentioned we're always available to them if a player ever needs a meeting, similar to what John Hark said. He also wanted to emphasize that they believe in family values. With Sean O'Hearn subbing into the game was not available in games prior because he was out to a wedding. So something that they believe important, that every player has the ability to go and do that, spend time with family.
I think it was also part of the CBA, if I remember correctly, that players weren't to be punished really for doing things like that if possible. Obviously, you can say no, right? But you just don't want to punish them for taking time off for things like that.
It's a long season. That's a lot of time, especially it's over the summer, which that's prime time for events like that.
A lot of coaches have talked to us about the CBA and how it's limited their ability to build as big of a squad as they've had in previous years, but I think everybody agrees it was something, a great thing for the players, something that had to be done at some point. I know there were some situations, I've obviously seen one of them go to court where players were taken advantage of a little bit. There's a little more power now.
That's also going to attract quality players to want to come to your league if you know that they're going to be more taken care of.
For sure, it's always a question, right, when you're playing in, quote, lower level soccer. No matter where you are in the world, is are you going to get taken care of, right? We've seen players in this league come in from all over the world and played in the lower leagues everywhere. Bringing that experience into this league and saying, hey, to the player reps, you know, I got this when I was playing in the middle of nowhere. Why am I not getting this in League One? So I think the CBA is certainly a positive thing for everybody.
Certainly. It's been about 20 minutes since the strike off the back heel of Sebastian Andreasen, which is how we find ourselves at this scoreline now. On Knoxville, gonna get a road win here. Their second road win of the season after a late game winner over on the West Coast against Central Valley Fuego. That'll be his 5th yellow card of the season.
Professional foul. Turned nicely by Castro. Chrysler did what all good center backs are taught to do. You get beaten like that far up the field with a potential chance of a transition play. Stick a little knee in there. I'm not sure if Castro even got to that ball in the end. Chrysler wasn't going to wait and see.
Yeah. He doesn't have the ability to see how far that ball went.
No, he certainly had to make the decision. And substitution here for Greenville.
So Nate Schultz will come out of the game. And Liam McKinnon will come into the game. And then Jacob Labovitz comes out, and Benton Evans makes his return after some time off due to personal reasons. Those substitutions brought to you by Spinks. Once again, that's Nate Schultz out for Liam McKinnon and Jacob Labovitz out for Benton Evans.
Greenville looking like they're going 3 at the back.
Avalanez. Oh, and yeah, certainly that's going to change the structure. And now you've got 2 out-and-out wingers in Evans and Gavalanez.
And McKinnon on there. Evans and McKinnon can both play centrally as well. See how they end up lining up. Like Castro on his own a little bit. Up top now with trying to get that width going.
Benton Evans. He's been a dangerous player in USL League One, both for Greenville and for Fort Lauderdale.
McKinnon, what a start he's got off to in his rookie season. Great spot here if he can pop up with a late tying goal. Kickers have doubled their lead. João Gamero again, 3rd goal in 2 games. Get to that in a second.
Coutinho takes the shot, and it's not on frame. The out for a goal kick. Lucas Coutinho trying to find that leveling goal.
Yeah, just go underneath it a little bit. We've seen what he can do from that distance already this season
Yeah.
a number of times. He's not forcing Sean Lewis to make a save. He has not made one yet tonight.
Has either keeper made a save tonight?
No. 2 shots on target for Knoxville, 1 for Greenville.
There it is.
Richmond now with 2 goals in 3 straight games. Shizaki's, I don't think he's featured in any of them, at least scoring them. He's been very quiet. It hasn't mattered for the kickers. Darren Swatsky's figuring it out going forward. It took him a while this season. Seems to have sorted it out now. When I spoke to him, last week, he wasn't too concerned about the lack of offensive output at times this year from them.
Well, he wasn't concerned, and they scored 2 goals in that game. They scored 2 goals the next game, and now they've scored 2 goals in this one. Yeah. So talk about figuring it out now. A corner kick here for the visitors. These set pieces, that's where the magic has been made for Knoxville. Waldeck sends it in. That one's headed away easily by Wu. Bulldozing happening there. Castro running into Waldeck.
He got a yellow card. That could certainly have been a second one. There's more frustration in it. He was blocked. His path was blocked to the ball. I'm not sure legally. Castro wisely walking away.
And you want to get him to forget what the number was that was on the end of that contact.
Watch Waldeck here. Nowhere near the ball, just cut right into the path of Castro. The foul should really have gone the other way. And it was Waldeck that ended up on the ground, but it wasn't close enough to the ball to be legal in my eyes. But my eyes don't matter, Mark. It's Fevzi Demarin that makes the decision. Another dangerous free kick potential here for Knoxville.
So Hearn and the fouled Waldeck. They take it quickly, but not on the same page there.
Got away with one there to Greenville.
I guess it depends on how you look at it, because you're talking about really where was the foul there, or who was the foul on.
Perhaps justice was done.
Yeah.
Matter of opinion, right?
Exactly. 2 each there, Alan.
Spoke to Mark McKeever this week. He was just talking about, careful, just having that decisiveness, converting those chances when you get them, right? Greenville at times this season has had the chances and not put them away. Tonight they haven't even had the chances, other than the one that went in. With that said, Knoxville's only had the 2 shots, and they've both gone in.
It's a game of moments sometimes, and those moments can come in bunches, and sometimes they are few and far between.
Greenville 10 minutes to try and figure this one out, salvage a point.
Will be the one to
just seem a little frustrated. They haven't been able to unlock this. Knoxville back 3 or 4, whatever you want to call it.
Gavilanes is able to win a corner kick.
PNC Corners for Kids, taken by your Greenville Triumph.
That's PNC's Corner for Kids. Corners for Kids, as Gavilanes sits by it, plays it short. Coutinho.
So I asked McKeever about his three-back system. He said it's something he's been using for a while, and he says there are very few folks who get how we do it. He says that he likes to confuse opposition teams with the way he uses runners. Any chance he was at a handball, I assume. And Angelo Kelly.
Handball or corner kick, whichever one looks better, and of course, in this case,
the handball here.
Yeah.
Much more of a dangerous position. Vanya's with that left foot. Coutinho with the right. Red Bulls have equalized, Mark, in in Chattanooga. 1-1 there in the 53rd minute.
Like I said earlier, be one to tune into after this one concludes. But don't get presumptuous. Well,
that kind of sums up Greenville's night with that free kick. You give up an opportunity to swing one in, and that's the end result instead. Just pure execution from the home team.
Just a bit of a whiffing moment there.
Siobhan Marsh with the goal for Chattanooga.
Marsh, one of those speedsters on that Red Wolves team.
First goal of the season for him. Forget the late game tonight. Central Valley Fuego hosting Tormenta. Fuego really looking to get their season going.
You know they have all the pieces for it. Just waiting for it to come together. Gavilanes sends it in. Evans will have to brace for it. Circus to the top of the 18, headed away emphatically. Wu. Polak, who heads it centrally. Coutinho in the middle. Coutinho, nice touch, but Castro's is too heavy. Triumph continuing to knock on the door. It's a rare occasion when the Triumph score first and lose the game. But one Knoxville looking to be the team to do it here. Greenville with around 60% of the possession in this matchup.
John Harks went with the two strikers to try and get something going. The final third has not worked. Now it's just going to be a case of throwing bodies forward. See if you can find a late equalizer. The point in League One, even at home, is valuable. Some substitution here for the visitors.
Hinga Selemani will come into the game in the stead of Callum Johnson.
Substitution for one Knoxville.
Just some fresh legs here. Chase that ball around.
Number 9, Hinga Selemani.
So Johnson's night is over.
Callum Johnson in the 85th minute.
Quite night for Callum Johnson, only 31 touches. Shots for him. Only the one final third entry. Gabriel Claudio with 11 final third entries for Knoxville tonight from that wing-back spot. We'll see the goal as well.
Shaw connects with Polak. Polak plays it out to Gavilanes. His cross deflects off O'Hearn, caught by Lewis. Rare moment where the ball is in the goalie's hands here. Sean Lewis, the veteran keeper. Throws that one out. He's going to play her down. Trying to confirm. It's Villalobos. ankle there. If you look at this again, Villalobos, the top of your screen. He puts his hand in the air and then goes to the ground. No contact. Maybe just tweaked it at some point in time. So we'll continue to check up on him.
He's worked hard tonight, Jimmy Villalobos. Hasn't got a whole ton of things done going forward, where he's normally known for doing his best work. The team and chances created. Shots coming into this one. Chattanooga men feeling that right hamstring a little bit.
And they're going to sub him out of the game. So the end of the night for Jimmy Villalobos. Sam Fletcher will come into the game now. Sam Fletcher actually making his League One debut. Played in the Open Cup match against Memphis, but this will be his official entrance into USL League One. The 23-year-old from Phoenix, Arizona. Was with the team last year, so it's not his Knoxville debut even in league play per se. Decided League Two last season. And there he is. Worth mentioning, this portion of the game brought to you by ScanSource, accelerating growth for partners and calling Greenville home for 30 years.
Tough run of games coming up for Knoxville. Things don't get easier for Greenville, as we mentioned. At Omaha on Wednesday, and home against Tormenta, a team that's owned them over the last few meetings. And then at home against Omaha on the 10th. Do get a Saturday off next Saturday, Greenville. They need it.
It's ever since that 3-2 game we were talking about in 2021.
Yes. And after that, a long trip to Fuego. Triumph. So they had that rough start, and everybody thought they were getting things going, but a couple of disappointing results after that 2-0 lead last week against Richmond, seeing that frittered away. Offensive troubles tonight against Knoxville. The team playing their third game in 8 days. They haven't looked like it though, have they, Mark?
No. They've looked stout.
Mark McKeever a little bit about that. He said, listen, these pros are in great physical shape, most of them.
That service coming off of Chrysler. They'll be out for another corner kick.
I'd say all of them are in great physical shape, right? If you're not in shape, you're going to get exposed at this level.
And PNC's corners for kids taken quickly. Pollock sends it in, headed down. Pilato plays it over to Gavilanes. Time running out for the Triumph. Pollock centrally. That one went off the face of Leo Castro. Looking for a brace here. It's the service from Pollock. Going down as he hits it.
Those coaches tell us, Mark, no easy games in this league.
Certainly.
Battle till the end for all 6 of these playoff spots. Just like it has been pretty much every season, I'd say. Since the foul on Venton Evans. I think that was. Tevin Shaw taking it back. Tevin Shaw jogging back to his defensive midfield spot. Knoxville in no hurry here. Quite rightly so. Big 3 points for them.
Yeah, that'll put them, I believe, up near second place.
In second place for now. Tormenta could jump over them with a win at Fuego later.
The fourth official has indicated 5 minutes of stoppage time.
So we're going to get 5 minutes of stoppage time, brought to you by Engineered Sleep, the best handmade mattresses in town. Visit engineeredsleep.com for better sleep as this cross comes in. Saved by Lewis.
There's the first one, and it was a good one.
The first save of the game. A big one for Knoxville.
teasing cross from Gavilanes. Evans was there. Out jumps his defender.
Oh, I don't think that was saved.
I think he did hit the post on the replay. You're right, Mark. It looked like a save at first glance, but
instead it was a glance.
We were all fooled on that one. Evans off the post.
So still no saves in this game, as that's not desirable for the Triumph. Minute of the 5 has transpired. You know, you really go into time-killing mode now if you're Mark McKeever's side. Looking to hang on here in this first ever meeting between Greenville and Knoxville.
One thing we can say is that I think Greenville will certainly miss Aaron Walker. Hamstrings are nothing to mess with, though. Interesting to see if he comes back on Wednesday or not. See if we get the extra break after that.
Hearn. Down on the ground. A couple appeals for the high boot there from O'Hearn, and I think there's reason to argue that, and then O'Hearn quickly gets fouled after that.
Definitely got caught by Alan Gavilanes. Right on the shin pad, though, I think. Oh, sorry, it's Castro, excuse me.
The ball back and forward here in Knoxville and Greenville. McKinnon switches the pitch. Evans now sends in the middle. It'll be Evans again. Another service, knocked away, trying to feed Castro. 3 minutes have transpired of the 5.
Certainly a deserved win for Knoxville. They've come in here and done what they need to do as a road team. Shut up shop, as Mark McKeever said. Playing a little more defensively on the road in this league especially. That's exactly what they've done tonight. Limited Greenville to just scraps in the final third. And that's being generous, Mark.
The expected goals of these two teams are Greenville .53 and Knoxville .32.
With the 7 shots, but just the one on target, that's the one that went in. Knoxville still with just 6 touches in the opponent's box. Greenville with 16. Most of those have come here in the second half. 12 of those 16.
You want to talk about shots on target? Knoxville has 2 total shots, both of those being goals. Gotta like that efficiency.
Some people are suggesting Thriller Villa for the name of this matchup, but it's not lived up to that. I said to some people, hey, let's see how the game goes first. It's been far from a thriller, unless you're into defensive play.
We've got some nice goals, though, despite the few chances.
Yes.
2 superb ones from Knoxville. And then Leo Castro, some good work pressing-wise. Bullock sends it in. That's going to be a... Oh, might not be a corner kick, might be a throw-in. 30 more seconds. Gavilanes. That's to his right. Connects with Pilato. Here's Wu. To Evans. This may be, that's actually Shaw. Switching out with Evans, he's now centrally. The final whistle is blown. 1 Knoxville come on the road, go down a goal, find a response in the first half, and then take charge in the second half. 3 points for Mark McKeever's side. A 2-1 victory for 1 Knoxville. And like you said, Ross, a well-deserved win for this team, launching them all the way up into 2nd place in USL League One for now.
Scruffy win for the Scruffs.
Scruffy win indeed. You see there Leo Castro, one who got the goal scoring started in this matchup 8 minutes into the game. And then the one who ended up winning it, Seba, with his back heel. Training-like effort, as you called it. Something you just pull out in practice. Hey, you practice to pull it off in a game. And then, of course, the goal sandwiched right in the center. An excellent header from Gabriel Claudio off the set piece. And we'll see all of those again on the other side of this break with the full-time highlights. We'll step aside briefly. We'll see you there after this break on ESPN+.
You know, I'm just feeling a lot of pressure. There's big shoes to fill.
It's your time now, Tommy. I know you'll keep it special like your dad did.
If we can keep this business growing, I think that's the best way to honor him.
Well, I was there for him, and I'll be there for you.
About this new location,
He would have loved it, Tommy. Let's find a way.
We offer a full array of dental treatment, and what that provides you as a patient is you're able to come to one place and get comprehensive care under one roof.
I've always been greeted with a smile. They know me when I call. I trust them.
We'd love to see you at Wood Creek Dental. Visit us at woodcreekdental.com.
We are live one more time here at ESPN+. One Knoxville with a 2-1 victory on the road at Paladin Stadium. Mark Schoenster alongside me, Ross Davenport. You see Claudio and Andreas in there, giving each other the dap up. They're the two goal scorers for 1 Knoxville. Let's take a look at those goals here. Here is the high-flying plays of the match brought to you by GSP Airport. And it starts with Leo Castro.
Yeah, Castro forcing the turnover from Claudio and then finishing nicely. Give Greenville early lead in the second straight match, but again, once again, it wasn't to be for the Triumph.
Castro with his second goal of the season, also has 4 assists, which leads the USL League One. And speaking of nice assists, Waldeck with a wonderful ball, but an even more fantastic header from Gabriel Claudio.
Claudio just climbing higher than everybody else, nodding it into that far corner. I mentioned any place that Mazzola wasn't going to get to it. Claudio's fired up there, and as he should be.
And then early in the second half, a fantastic finish from Sebastian Andreasen.
Certainly a candidate for goal of the week. He just threw his foot up there. What a way to score your first professional goal.
Meanwhile, on the other side, Greenville tried to find an equalizer. And this one coming off the right post from Benton Evans. Their best chance, and practically their only chance since that goal. It wasn't a game full of shots lofted, as you can see here on the Coca-Cola full-time stats. Worth noting for Knoxville, 2 shots on target, both of which hit the back of the net. Sometimes that's all you need.
Clinical when they needed to be, and they're the ones going home with the 3 points tonight.
Greenville have a midweek game against Omaha on the road at Werner Park. Meanwhile, Mark McKeever's side will go to Lexington for round 2 of the Derby matchup with Sporting Lexington. But for our match here tonight, for Ross Davenport and our entire broadcasting crew, I'm Mark Schoenster. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you next time. I want to check in on some of these other League One games happening both tonight and tomorrow in the middle of the day on Sunday. But for this show, we'll see you next time.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League League One cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League League One.